Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my good friend from Georgia, Mr. Lewis, for yielding me this time. My colleagues, this is a good bill, and I ask all my colleagues to support this worthy effort. And Chairman Lewis, I want to thank you personally and your staff. You went out of your way to include language that I had concerns of and wanted to include in this bill to increase the access of eligible taxpayers to the EITC, the Earned Income Tax Credit. So I want to personally thank you and your staff for your outreach to our office in including that. Ronald Reagan himself referred to the EITC as the greatest anti-poverty program in the history of our country. So I think it deserves worthy bipartisan support. Madam Speaker, we heard in testimony last week in the Committee on Ways and Means from the Taxpayer Advocate of the United States that identity fraud against taxpayers is skyrocketing. This bill establishes some of the strongest protections for taxpayers against identity theft scams, especially those at greatest risk of fraud. Our seniors and veterans filing this year to claim the economic stimulus rebate check. But my colleagues my Republican colleagues in the Bush administration are adamantly opposed to this Taxpayer Protection Act because they're opposed to the offset that we provide. Now, one can argue that some of my Republican colleagues philosophically oppose paying for anything and support the continuation of what I believe was 7 years of Republican economic theory of borrow and spend. And in case you're keeping count, the results of the Republican borrow and spend credit card economic policies is a $30,000 birth tax on every person born in this country today. In fact, in my own home, it's at $90,000 because I have an 8, 7, and 2-year-old. I can't imagine that they'd be very happy if they understood what the birth tax was that was placed upon them by irresponsible and reckless fiscal policies of the last 7 years. That is why Democrats implemented.
It's expired.
I'm going to ask for additional.
Madam Speaker, I yield an additional minute to the gentleman from New York.
Gentleman is recognized for an additional minute. Gentleman from New York.
That's why Democrats are trying to be responsible, and we implemented the pay-as-you-go principles, meaning all new tax cuts, new spending increases need to be paid for as we move forward. In regards to the health savings account, I really don't understand the opposition here. What we're simply asking for is for accountability. We know that health savings accounts have been spent for country club membership, massage parlors, women's lingerie shops, casinos and gambling, dating and escort services. Let's really put this all in perspective. What we're talking about is accountability on health savings accounts. We're not saying they shouldn't be used for health purposes, but they should be held accountable. People right now, hardworking, honest, faith-loving Americans that want to donate to a charity or to the church, with after-tax payments, have to account for that charitable contribution before they can take a tax deduction. When it comes to health savings accounts, there is not that requirement, and we're talking about pre-tax dollars on health savings accounts. There's something wrong here. I wish my Republican colleagues would better understand it. It's simply absurd that they don't support this accountability.
An additional minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman is recognized for an additional minute.
It is simply absurd to me that my Republican colleagues can't understand that we're simply asking for accountability, that these health savings accounts, we're not looking to eliminate them, but that if they're using it for legitimate health purposes, that's fine. Now, I did note that the HSA, the Health Savings Account Council, says that the IRS has the authority to audit these accounts. Are they suggesting that the IRS audit every health savings account to make sure that that health savings accounts are being used for the purposes for health reasons? I dare say that the IRS is looking at probably more often than not the charitable contributions that hardworking Americans make and making sure that those are legitimate charities before they're able to deduct them from their taxes. So what we're looking for is a little balance here in terms of what really are legitimate tax savings purposes and health savings accounts. That's really simply what Democrats are looking for. And with that, Mr. Chairman and Madam